It was supposed to be a quiet day at one of Manhattan's most exclusive luxury boutiques, a haven for the city's wealthiest. Shimmering marble floors, soft lighting, and the faint scent of high-end perfumes filled the air. Celebrities, socialites, and dignitaries drifted in and out, their faces hidden behind sunglasses, but always the same, impeccable taste, perfect composure. The kind of place where money and status aren't just welcome, they're celebrated. But no one could have predicted the storm that would break in the middle of the afternoon. No one could have imagined that the calm, orderly world of this high-end fashion haven would be shattered by an unexpected encounter. The manager of the boutique, known for her poise and ironclad professionalism, would face a test unlike any she had experienced in her years running this empire. It all started when a familiar figure walked through the door, Melania Trump, the former First Lady of the United States. Her presence sent a ripple through the boutique, a hushed murmur sweeping through the staff. For many, it was an honor to serve such a high-profile client, but not for everyone. The manager, who had built her reputation on maintaining the perfect balance of service and discretion, was about to face a confrontation that would humiliate her in front of the most powerful people in the room. What happened next was nothing short of dramatic. The boutique manager, in a moment of sheer arrogance, decided to challenge Melania Trump in front of an audience of high society figures. Words were exchanged, tensions escalated, and before anyone could blink, Melania was escorted out humiliated, furious, and vowing to never return. But what happened next? The boutique, once the epitome of elegance, was about to experience the most shocking turn of events in its history. Melania Trump, the woman who had been turned away, was coming back, but not just as a customer. She would return with a vengeance that no one saw coming. The real question was, would the boutique survive the aftermath of this humiliating encounter, or would it be forever marked by the sting of rejection? The stage was set. The battle lines were drawn. And what happened next would leave everyone breathless. The atmosphere in the boutique shifted as soon as Melania Trump entered. The soft murmurs of the staff quieted, their eyes momentarily widening as the former First Lady glided through the doors, effortlessly commanding attention. With her signature elegance, she moved past the racks of the most coveted fashion pieces, stopping to inspect a few items. But today, her presence would not be a simple transaction. The manager of the boutique, Cynthia Holt, a woman known for her precise control and calm demeanor, stood behind the counter, watching the interaction unfold. She had seen her fair share of high-profile clients, but Melania was different. Her status, her grace, the aura she carried, everything about her demanded the utmost respect. Yet, Cynthia wasn't intimidated. She was a seasoned professional in the world of luxury fashion and believed in her ability to keep everything in order. But then, it happened. The assistant, who had been tasked with attending to Melania, returned to the manager's desk with an unusual look on her face. "Cynthia," the assistant whispered, her voice shaky, "she's asking for the most expensive piece in the store, but she's demanding a huge discount. She says she's earned it." Cynthia's eyebrows furrowed. She had heard rumors before about Melania's reputation for negotiating hard, but this felt different. She'd dealt with some of the wealthiest people in the world, but no one, not even the most famous, had ever acted in such a brazen manner. This was no ordinary request, it felt like a challenge. Without hesitation, Cynthia strode over to Melania, her heels clicking on the marble floor with an intensity that made heads turn. She greeted Melania with a warm, composed smile, but the tension between them was palpable. "Mrs. Trump, it's an honor to have you in our boutique today," Cynthia began, her voice smooth but laced with a hint of challenge. "I see you've taken quite an interest in this particular piece. It's one of our most exquisite items, and I'm sure you can appreciate its craftsmanship." Melania, unfazed by the underlying tension, smiled politely. "I do appreciate it, but I'm not willing to pay the full price. I think a discount would be more fitting, considering everything I've done for the fashion world. After all, I am a public figure. My association with your boutique would surely benefit your brand." The words hung in the air, sharp and almost condescending. Cynthia's smile faltered just slightly. She had been in this industry long enough to know that no one, not even the former First Lady, was entitled to special treatment. She had built this boutique on principles of fairness, quality, and respect, values that couldn't be compromised for any client, no matter how powerful. "Mrs. Trump, our prices are set to reflect the value of the craftsmanship, the exclusivity, and the artistry behind these pieces," Cynthia replied calmly, meeting Melania's gaze. "I understand your stature, but I must insist that we adhere to our pricing policies." A tense silence followed. Melania's lips tightened, and her eyes narrowed. There was no mistaking the shift in her demeanor. The poised, calm exterior she was known for was momentarily replaced by something sharper, colder. "You don't seem to understand," Melania said, her voice low but biting. "I am not asking. I am telling you. If you don't want to make this deal, I'll simply take my business elsewhere." Cynthia could feel the weight of the room's gaze, the silent pressure mounting. She took a deep breath, determined not to back down. "I'm afraid that's not an option, Mrs. Trump," Cynthia said, her tone unwavering. "This boutique stands for more than just business transactions. We pride ourselves on maintaining the integrity of our offerings. If that's not something you can appreciate, perhaps it is better for us to part ways." There was a moment of stunned silence, broken only by the soft rustling of the boutique's luxurious fabrics. The tension was unbearable, and then Melania's face hardened. Without a word, she turned on her heel and walked towards the exit, her eyes shooting one last, cold look at Cynthia. "Remember this," Melania said over her shoulder as she passed through the door. "You will regret this." The door slammed behind her, leaving the room frozen in disbelief. The assistant stood in shock, the other staff members too stunned to speak. Cynthia, however, stood still, her heart pounding in her chest. She had just kicked out one of the most famous women in the world. But was she right? Did she make the right choice? The days following the incident were filled with a mix of shock and disbelief. The media caught wind of the confrontation, and soon, every news outlet was running with the story. "Boutique manager kicks out Melania Trump, shocking the fashion world." Headlines flooded social media, memes circulated, and everyone had an opinion. Some people applauded Cynthia for standing firm, while others criticized her for turning away an icon of fashion and power. But just when the storm seemed to be dying down, something unexpected happened. Melania Trump, the woman who had vowed to never return, walked into the boutique again, this time with a group of high-profile associates. No one knew why she had returned or what she intended to do. The staff tensed, unsure whether to approach her or remain silent. Cynthia, who had been keeping a low profile, noticed Melania's arrival and couldn't help but feel a surge of nervousness. But then, Melania walked up to her. "I want to apologize," Melania said, her voice soft but resolute. "You were right to stand your ground. I was wrong to demand special treatment. I've come to respect your integrity. I want to make this right." For a moment, Cynthia could barely comprehend the words. This wasn't the Melania Trump she had faced just days earlier. This was someone who had come back not to seek revenge, but to offer respect. The room held its breath. Cynthia nodded, her voice steady. "I appreciate your words, Mrs. Trump. You don't need to apologize. You're welcome here anytime." And just like that, the storm that had threatened to destroy the boutique's reputation was over. Not only had Melania returned, but she had done so with humility and grace, offering a gesture that none could have predicted. The boutique's reputation was solidified in a way it never had been before, and the manager, Cynthia, learned that sometimes strength comes from the most unexpected places. The atmosphere in the boutique had shifted again. The media frenzy, the gossip, the endless chatter, it had all quieted down to a dull hum. People were still talking about the infamous moment when Cynthia Holt, the manager, had kicked out Melania Trump, but now they were also talking about something far more intriguing: the former First Lady's unexpected return. No one had expected it to happen. Not even Cynthia herself. After days of silence, when the tension in the boutique had felt as thick as the fabric lining the shelves, Melania Trump walked in through the front door once again. This time, there was no entourage of photographers or cameras following her. There were no tabloid reporters lurking in the corners, ready to catch a single frame of her every move. This was a quieter, more personal return. And Cynthia felt the weight of that, a mix of anticipation and apprehension swirling in her chest. When Melania entered the boutique, the usual buzz didn't follow. It was as if time had paused for a moment, frozen in anticipation of what would happen next. But then something unexpected happened. Melania walked straight to Cynthia, without hesitation, and stopped in front of her with a look that was both firm and vulnerable. "I owe you an apology," Melania said, her voice carrying a tone Cynthia hadn't expected. It wasn't the cold, distant tone she had spoken with before. It wasn't the sharp, demanding words that had stung in the past. This was different. This was genuine. Cynthia stood there, unsure of how to respond. She hadn't expected this, not in the least. But after a few seconds of processing, she nodded, her own voice steady. "There's no need for an apology, Mrs. Trump. You were simply asserting what you thought was fair. But I'm glad you've returned." Melania gave a small nod, her gaze softening. "I didn't fully understand at the time," she admitted. "In the world I've lived in, I've had everything handed to me on a silver platter. I've been told that my name alone can get me anything I want. But you stood up for something bigger than a deal. You stood for values that, at that moment, I didn't recognize. And I owe you respect for that." The boutique staff, who had been watching in silence, seemed to breathe in unison. The tension that had hung over the boutique ever since the confrontation was slowly dissipating, replaced with a sense of awe. Here was a woman who, despite her immense power and influence, was showing humility. And in doing so, she was revealing a side of herself that few had ever seen. For Cynthia, the shock was overwhelming. She had never expected Melania to return, let alone with such a heartfelt apology. And yet, there it was, genuine, raw, and unexpected. Melania's words carried the weight of someone who had reflected deeply on the events that had transpired. "I want to buy this," Melania said, her tone shifting back to a business-like one. "And I want to do it the right way. No discounts. No special treatment. Just a fair transaction." Cynthia couldn't help but smile, a slight chuckle escaping her lips. It was a moment of irony. Here she was, face to face with one of the most influential women in the world, and the former First Lady was offering to pay full price for a luxury item. It was the kind of gesture that made the entire room pause in admiration. But then Melania did something no one expected. She turned to the boutique staff, her expression serious. "I want you all to know something," she said, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "The lesson one learned from this experience is not just about respecting a business or a manager. It's about understanding that no one is entitled to anything, no matter their status. I've taken for granted that my name could open doors, but sometimes it's about more than just who you are. It's about what you stand for." Cynthia's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't just an apology. It was a realization. Melania Trump, who had once been the epitome of power and privilege, had come to understand something that many never did: the value of integrity and humility. But the story didn't end there. As Melania walked to the counter to finalize her purchase, Cynthia found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought them both here. The boutique had faced a storm, and through that storm, Cynthia had remained unyielding. But in Melania's return, something unexpected had blossomed: respect. As the transaction was completed, Melania paused, her eyes meeting Cynthia's one final time. "You've earned my respect," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. "And that is worth more than any item in this store." With that, she turned and walked out of the boutique, leaving behind a sense of calm that had been absent just days earlier. The staff stood still, processing the gravity of the moment. And Cynthia, she knew she had just witnessed something profound. In the weeks that followed, the story of Melania Trump's return and her apology became a media sensation. The boutique, once nearly on the verge of scandal, had not only survived the storm, but had emerged stronger. In the end, the lesson was clear: humility and respect were more valuable than status or wealth. And sometimes, the most unexpected encounters lead to the most powerful transformations. Cynthia's decision to stand her ground had not only earned her the admiration of her peers, but it had also forced a powerful woman to confront her own beliefs and grow. And in the process, it reshaped the boutique's legacy in a way that no designer dress or luxury handbag ever could. As the boutique doors closed behind Melania Trump, a silence settled over the room. The once tense atmosphere had transformed into one of quiet reflection. The kind of reflection that transcended just the events of the day. It was a profound, almost spiritual moment of realization for everyone who had witnessed the shift. Cynthia Holt, standing at the center of it all, couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The events of the past week had been nothing short of a whirlwind. The confrontation with Melania, the media frenzy, the endless debates, it had all culminated in something far greater than a simple business transaction or a high-profile encounter. It had sparked a lesson, a deep lesson about humility, integrity, and the power of standing firm in one's values. The moment Melania had walked back into the boutique, it had felt like the world had paused. No one could have predicted what would happen next. A former First Lady, one of the most recognizable figures in the world, coming back not with demands or anger, but with a message of respect. It was a rare moment of growth, a powerful reminder that even the most powerful people could experience transformation. But Cynthia knew the lesson was not just for Melania. It was for everyone who had witnessed this journey. It was a call to all of us to reconsider our beliefs about power, entitlement, and respect. The truth was, the most important things in life weren't the things we could buy or the status we could flaunt. They were the values we stood by, the integrity we maintained, and the way we treated others. The boutique had become a place not just of luxury goods, but of life's richest treasures, character, strength, and grace. It was easy to be swept away by the allure of fame, wealth, and influence. The world often made us believe that success came with a price, that we had to compromise our values or bow to the whims of the powerful. But what Cynthia and Melania's encounter had shown was that true success wasn't about what you could extract from others, it was about what you gave. It was about the respect you earned by being true to your beliefs and standing your ground, no matter how difficult it might seem. The boutique had survived the storm, yes, but more importantly, it had thrived in a way that no amount of publicity or attention could ever replicate. In the face of adversity, Cynthia had remained unshaken. She had not compromised, not given in to the pressures around her, but had chosen to stand tall in her principles. And in doing so, she had not only earned Melania's respect, but the respect of everyone who had witnessed the unfolding of this remarkable story. The message was clear: sometimes, the most important lessons come in the most unexpected forms. It wasn't just about business, it was about the values that underpin every action, every decision, and every encounter. Integrity, humility, respect, these were the true markers of success. And when we allow ourselves to live by these values, we don't just change ourselves, we change the world around us. As Cynthia walked to the front of the boutique, looking out over the carefully curated shelves, she knew that this was a turning point. Not just for the boutique, but for her own personal journey. She had faced the storm, had endured the unexpected, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more resolute than ever. In the end, the most powerful moments in life aren't the ones where we win, but the ones where we stay true to ourselves. Cynthia had shown that in the face of immense pressure, it was possible to remain grounded and emerge victorious, not in the traditional sense, but in a far more profound and lasting way. So, as the boutique carried on, and the world continued to spin with its whirlwind of drama and intrigue, the lesson remained. Be true to your values. Stand firm in your beliefs. And no matter how powerful or influential the world around you may seem, the most important thing is the respect you earn by staying grounded in who you are. As for Melania, her return had been a reminder that no one is beyond growth. It wasn't just a high-profile apology, it was a symbol of change. And it served as a reminder to all of us that no matter how high we climb, no matter how far we go, humility and respect are the true measures of. And for everyone watching this story unfold, remember this: you, too, have the power to choose integrity over convenience, respect over power, and humility over pride. Life will test you. People will challenge you. But it is in those moments, in those challenges, that you discover what you are truly made of. Let this story serve as a reminder to live with purpose, to stay grounded, and to always choose the path that aligns with your deepest values. Because in the end, it's not the fame, the money, or the recognition that leaves a lasting legacy. It's the way you treat others, the way you hold yourself, and the strength you show when you stand up for what's right. Let this be your call to action. Let it inspire you to walk with integrity, to rise with humility, and to face each challenge with a heart full of respect. You have it in you. This is the story of transformation, of growth, of resilience, and ultimately, of the power of choosing what is right over what is easy. The power to make a difference in your world begins with you.